Hi everyone, I'm Harvey. I'm Gigg's community manager, and today I'm here with Andrew Watson, who's one of our long-time users on the Gigged.AI platform. And today we're just going to talk a wee bit about Andrew and kind of his freelancing journey, so to speak, and some of the stuff that he's been working on for the last couple of years. Fun fact before we dive in, Andrew does a lot of Power BI work with Gigged itself, so this is not the first time Andrew's seen my face, as I'm sure he's delighted to be seeing. But if Andrew, you want to kind of give us a wee introduction to yourself, and then we can dive into some questions and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Andrew. I've been working in data for the last 10 or 11 years. I've been predominantly within the insurance industry, and over the last sort of year, looking to build up a freelancing portfolio and move in that direction. Working across multiple sectors, along with insurance and brewing talent agencies like Gigged.AI and multiple other industries. It's been quite a busy year, but quite rewarding at the same time.
Great. Cool. So, as if you want to tell us about kind of how you got into freelancing, what was the kind of point that was the jump into, obviously going from full-time work to starting to build out that kind of freelancer profile?
Yeah. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I felt that I needed a bit of a change within my work life, and explored one avenue which didn't quite work out, but returned back to the insurance industry part-time with a view to setting up my own business and building up my own portfolio. And that's allowed me to take sort of a steady course of building up that book while still having that solid income. And it's been great to work with businesses at different levels of maturity, both within their own existence and also within their data cycles. And work with people who want to move their business forward and just appreciate and sort of need that help and expertise that you can bring with them. So it's been rewarding from that aspect for sure.
Cool. No, definitely. One of my favorite questions to ask people who have been freelancing for a good couple of years, because as I'm sure everybody who's watching will be aware, is freelancing is a bit of a roller coaster, especially when you're trying to kind of set up as yourself with your own business. So what's the best experience you've had over the last 2-3 years of freelancing, and then what's maybe the worst as well?
For me, no matter what I'm doing, where I'm doing, for me, the most rewarding bit about working in data is when the people you're delivering to, the people you're presenting to, they just go, now I get it. And that's sort of quite the reward for me, is making this thing that's a bit of an enigma to them. They have data, they know what data is, but actually being able to use it, understand it, and make informed decisions, that for me is sort of the best experience for it. The worst experience, I don't genuinely think I've got a good example to bring to that. I think I've probably been quite fortunate so far. But that's also because, again, working part-time, I can be selective about who I work with and what I want to be involved in. The best bit is definitely that penny dropping, working with nice businesses, people who value your expertise, and no horrific experiences so far.
Well, I mean, that's a win for sure. I get what you mean about the penny dropping thing. I remember I went to a Data Scotland event last year in Murrayfield, which was just one of those ones where it looked interesting. So me and Jennifer went, who works in the customer success team with me, and it was that kind of everybody was milling about at the start, chatting, and then we were pure, we'll just go into this talk. It was about one of the Microsoft tools for data, and I have never been so confused in my life than sitting there and just hearing this guy talk about the depths of data and kind of building out dashboards and stuff, and being I have no clue what's going on. And then maybe a couple of hours later, going to another chat where this guy was talking about AI.
Yeah.
And the progress of it from whatever the first, I can't remember what he said, the first one was this thing in the 70s or something, where you could ask it what the weather was, and it would be the weather's good in comparison to where it is now. And that was so interesting seeing him talk about that and kind of understanding it a wee bit more. So I get what you mean about that whole explaining it to people who don't work in it, but know kind of what it is and a little bit about kind of what it does and how they use it. But seeing people who are fully immersed in it get to talk about it was really cool and very interesting. So it must be great getting to kind of watch people kind of click and be like, I get that. Cool.
Yeah, and I think the opposite is also true, in that there's that mutual respect between the business owner and you coming in as a freelancer. They're engaging with you because they know they need help in some cases, but they don't know what they need the help with. Whereas they start explaining their business to you, and it's absolutely fascinating because you're learning so much about businesses that you otherwise wouldn't be involved in. And as much as they see you as a data expert, which you are, you can also draw on their expertise as well. And that's something as well that freelancers, I think, need to be aware of, is about actually understanding business, especially in the data circle. You can produce dashboards, visuals, anything you want.
Yeah.
But if you don't truly understand the business, understand the true pain points, then it's going to be absolutely meaningless at that point. So I really enjoy spending time with, in most cases, the sort of chief executives or the marketing directors, the sales directors, and just properly understanding what do you not have that would help you deliver better, and then going away and working on a solution for them. Yeah.
I mean, that's a great wee segue, because my next question was going to be, obviously you've been kind of doing the whole building out your portfolio for the last couple of years, setting up by yourself. My question was going to be, what's your top tip for somebody who's wanting to do the same and kind of set up on their own and start doing freelance work for themselves and being a kind of expert in the industry and coming in to companies that maybe don't know anything about what it is they're bringing somebody in to do? They just know they need it. So would that be your top tip? Would it be kind of learn a wee bit more about the actual business and what it is that they do and what they're wanting to fix, rather than just coming in on the concept of the brief and being like, yeah, I'll do that, and then just delivering it?
I think within data circles, you will have a brief, thinking of Gigged.AI sort of stuff. You'll have a statement of work that will be very clear as to what needs to be delivered. But more often than not, I find that when you start to deliver the first iteration of the work, people then start to get things clicking in place, and then there seems to be some changes after that. And sometimes the person doesn't know exactly what they're looking for until they start to see what is possible. And that does have to be balanced between what am I here to deliver, what's the contract and the statement of work saying, versus what's a reasonable change in order to deliver more value for that customer. I think that's something that freelancers need to learn as well, is that you have to have the technical skills in order to deliver for a business, but you also have to have the soft skills in order to manage people within the business, be nice, be approachable, be able to translate what you're doing into how that will fit for the business. And one thing that I've learned along the way is, if people understand the incredibly technical parts that I'm telling them, they don't need me, because they can probably do it themselves. What I need to be able to do to them, what you need to be able to convey is, this is the value that this can bring to your business. So they don't need to know about how you iterate API calls, manipulate data, wrangle data into a Power BI dashboard. They just need to know this is going to save you 2 days a week or 2 days a month producing data yourself. Hard and soft skills are definitely stuff that people in data need to work on as well.
No, that's good. Complete and utter topic shift coming your way, so get prepared for it. But I know that before we started recording this, when we were just blathering and trying to figure out the best way to record this, we were talking a bit about like tools and stuff, because obviously Gigged and how we use Notion, and we were talking about stuff like Toggle Tracker and things like that. A big part of freelancing is obviously working from home and kind of being in your own space and kind of try to do stuff just by yourself without anybody actually, around you. So one of my favorite things to ask is, do you have a favorite tool or a favorite kind of integration or something that you use to kind of keep on top of that? I know we were talking about to-do lists and stuff like that, but people use different things obviously based on the actual work that they're doing. Like a designer will use like Figma or something that they probably think is the best thing in the world. But do you have anything that you've came across in the last couple of years that you really have enjoyed using on a daily or a weekly basis from working from home? Yeah,
so I'm still at the stage of trying to figure out what productivity tools I guess are best for myself, and it's always a catch-22, because the more time you invest in trying to figure out what productivity tools are good for you, the less you're actually delivering in that short space of time. but yeah, there's multiple things. I think as freelancers, it's a very thin line between being able to deliver on work and produce work versus taking on too much work and then having a backlog. Too much work as a freelancer, though, that's also a good problem to have when clients are looking for more and more work to be done. But yeah, there's a couple of sort of to-do list apps that you can do. Some of them have AI integration that will go, as I said, you've got half an hour to work now. Here's the best task you can do to knock off your to-do list and meet those deadlines as well. But yeah, I tend to use the Office suite because for data, most businesses are going into Power BI. Things like ClickUp seems to be okay. And yeah, there's a whole host, but it's also what works, what's right for that individual.
Yeah.
Two different data freelancers will work two very different ways. As long as the end result's the same, it doesn't necessarily matter what tools they're using to get there. So yeah.
No, fair enough. I mean, makes sense. As I know we were talking about it before, but I'm really bad at the whole, like when you're talking about your to-do list with half an hour, you should probably do this. I'm terrible for that, of like sitting down and being like, I'm going to do this for the next hour. And then after that, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this. I'm more of a kind of reactive worker where I'm like, oh, I need to do this because this has just happened, and kind of build way off of that, which is completely fair. So big question that I really like asking people, obviously we're both Scotland based, and Scotland seems to kind of be very big at the minute for freelance economy and events and meetups and stuff, which are really good. Is there anything about freelance economy in general, or just in Scotland, that you think could be improved upon, that you think could kind of elevate it to a whole other plane? Obviously, I think Glasgow is one of the biggest tech cities in the UK, I'm pretty sure, unless I've absolutely made that up. But if it's true, fact check me and I'll edit it out after this. But yeah, is there anything that you wish that you could be improved upon from a freelancer point of view within it?
Yeah, so probably worth saying I live in Somerset in England, but I'm from Edinburgh. But it's very clear to see from the posting and activity on LinkedIn and other sites as well, just how much data, IT, technology, meetups, sessions there are pretty much on a weekly basis across the Central Belt, Edinburgh, Glasgow, and sometimes further afield as well. It's a little bit more sparse down south, I must admit, or at least seemingly so. There's a few things in our local area. But the reason I sort of laugh is when I'm saying local within Somerset, it's very spread out. So it could be an hour and a half's drive to the next meetup, and that's a toss up there. But there does seem to be more and more things happening online as well, which is great. I think we can all appreciate that teams, especially in the freelance world, you're not having to travel all the way up to Aberdeen, for example, for a meeting, or down to London now. But that does come with a bit of a cost of not being able to meet with clients face to face and not having that different kind of relationship. But it's definitely good, more efficient, more productivity. You don't have to change your productivity tools, whichever ones you're using, to factor in sort of your travel time and stuff. So there's efficiencies to be made there. But yeah, on the whole, I think there's certain businesses that are really driving that sort of culture forward. Gigged.AI is definitely one of them. And it's impressive to see the work that's happening across the Central Belt.
Yeah, no, definitely. On the topic of us being a kind of talent platform, is there any other ones that you've used over the kind of last 2 years that you think have been good? Because I'm not I'll edit this out, but we don't want to be biased as our whole kind of point with this. I don't want it to be like, it's the best thing in the world, everybody come use it. So if there is anything that you've kind of came across, I know that some people from like a creative point of view use Bark as a platform. It's apparently quite good. And then obviously you've got like, like freelancer.com and things like that. You've got the bigger ones like Upwork and Fiverr, which I'm assuming that you maybe don't go near because they're just so saturated from a generic point of view. Is there any that you've kind of came across in the last 2 years that are worthwhile that you've kind of enjoyed using?
So I think worthwhile is a definition that you need to define on your own, but I think that there is a multitude of freelance platforms, but there is thousands of people on these platforms, and for every gig you're up against a plethora of other people who are coming in, and if they're agencies, perhaps they can come in lower than an individual. Yes, I have used them. It's not my preference to use them. What I like about Gigged is you verify your freelancers, you verify the businesses. So when you meet with a business, you know that they're engaged in the process. You know that someone has met them, they've been checked, and you have as well. So it's talent and an engaged person at that point. The other thing is usually the value of the projects are higher as well. So they may not be as frequent, but they are higher value. And I'm sure we'd all prefer to do fewer higher value projects than 10 or 20 very, very small value projects. So it's not to say that the other platforms don't have their place when you're starting out, but also a sort of an issue with platforms is that you don't end up owning that relationship with that client. So if I'm absolutely transparent, I've got a couple of clients through platforms, but I've also got quite a few clients through referrals, word of mouth, and they sit outside of platforms as well. So a mix, and I definitely recommend trying to get a mix. But in order to get a mix, you have to have testimonials and referrals. And in order to do that, you then have to sort of start building that book. And it's a sort of a vicious cycle and a catch-22, I guess, to get going.
No, for sure. Brian, so fabulous last question to kind of round it all off would be, is there anything that you wish from a generic point of view that everybody knew about kind of, not exactly data as a whole, because I'm fully aware it's a very, very large subject to cover, but just if there was one thing that you wish that everybody knew about the kind of data sector or data circles, that would maybe make life a whole lot easier coming into kind of projects and stuff, is there anything that comes to mind?
I think if you started every data project with a full suite of documentation, a data dictionary, relationship diagrams, metadata recorded everywhere, that would make our life an awful lot easier. But the reality is, no business. I will work with that business if they've got that. But the reality is, most businesses will see data as a byproduct of a business. They use the front-end system for orders, sales. They use it for marketing to clients, and data just sits behind it. So it's a difficult question, but I think part of the job as a freelancer is, yes, delivering on the product, but also making the business aware of improving data quality, data integrity. That can ease the pain points going forward. Because to be given data that needs a lot of work in it to make it manageable does come with quite high upfront costs, more time, more investment. But it's almost making that investment now will pay off further down the road. There's businesses I've worked with where that's been implemented, and now it's a case of, can you tell me how many red doors we insure in Scotland? Well, yeah, because we've gone through that painful process. We've now got that data at our fingertips, and that's an hour's job instead of a 5-hour job.
Yep.
So clean your data if you can. If not, post it on Gigged.AI.
Tonight.
Edit that last bit out if you wish.
No, I will be keeping it in. I love that. Brilliant. So I actually have another last question, so I'm going to end out the same last question before. But what's your favourite thing about being a freelancer? I know that for most people it ends up with flexibility, but do you have a favourite part of this kind of new lifestyle that you've taken on? Yeah, so flexibility is a pro, but it's also not to be misconstrued with clients who will go, I could really do with this by Tuesday. And you're like, it's Friday afternoon. Or I need it by Monday is probably a better one. And you do want to go that extra mile and deliver for them. So yes, you have flexibility. It's a nice day. You don't have any meetings.
no deadlines for tomorrow. You can take the day off if you wish, but the flexibility has also got to be countered by delivering and maintaining for that client. If you can come through for them, more likely that you'll have future work as well. But so yeah, flexibility, pros and cons there. For me, it's about choosing who I work with, working with businesses that are interesting, where they want to move forward, as I said to one of the answers earlier, and just working with nice people. I like we're all aiming to go in the same direction, aren't we? They want better data, you want to work with them. Let's enjoy it, deliver, and just have fun. So yeah, for me, it's the variety, choosing the projects you work on, and flexibility to some degree is what makes it rewarding.
Love. What a brilliant sentiment to finish on. Love that. Well, thank you very much for your time, Andrew. I very much appreciate it. Obviously, if anybody wants to check out Andrew's profile, then he's on Gigged. We'll also tag him in this LinkedIn post so that people can reach out to him if need be. But thank you very much, Andrew, for your time.
No problem.
Thoroughly enjoy speaking to you every time. It's always a good time.